Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for another episode of About 30 Minutes. And we are lucky today that we have not only a fine couple here with us, but they are lifelong Tuscarawas County residents. We have, and I'm going to look at it, make sure I say it right. It's Kenny and Corianne Kucherik.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome. Welcome to the podcast. How are you both doing today?
Good. How are you?
Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. Great day. Another beautiful day in Ohio. So you are here today representing Camp Tuscazoar. That's correct. Now, so let's go back a little bit. I mentioned earlier, and we were talking before we went on, that you are both lifelong Tuscarawas County residents. So, Corianne, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you've done, and how you've gotten to this point.
So I grew up in Carroll County, so just neighbor there.
Okay.
Went to Sandy Valley High School.
Right.
And then I moved to Canton for about 15 years. And then moved back here just to kind of get back to our roots. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Carroll County, not exactly, we would say lifelong Tuscarawas County is right on the border. We'll take you.
Yeah.
So
High school was Tuscarawas County.
Yes.
So
there we
fits.
go. Okay. So, and Kenny, how about you?
So grew up in New Philly, graduated from New Philly, met Corianne, and then, like you said, we moved up to Canton for a brief time and had to come back to T County. And a lot of that was just a lot of our involvement that we had with Camp Tuscazoar. Brought us back down here.
Now, we, as I said, we were talking before we got on, and you, excuse me, you both have full-time jobs. This is, Camp Tuscazoar is kind of an extra thing. So, Corianne, you work for?
I work for First Federal Community Bank based in Dover.
Okay.
And I work for Hendrickson Trailer Suspensions out of Navarre.
Okay. So how did you get involved with Camp Tuscazoar? Where did that come into the mix?
So it's interesting for like bike riders and runners. There's this app called Strava, and it's like Facebook for athletes. And like, hey, I did this ride, and you can see what they did, and they have segments. And basically, like from A to B is a certain time, and then people compete to like win that segment type of thing. And I was just exploring one day down in this area, just looking for new places because we rode mountain bikes, and we found a segment in Dover in the woods, and I was like, that's weird, it looks like a mountain bike trail, and I didn't know anything was there. Then started snooping around on social media. Actually got in contact with Jason Ricker, who's a local of Tuscarawas County, and he had started building trails out there. So then we basically got in contact with him and started helping him build trails at Camp Tuscazoar. Probably about
10 years ago.
10 years ago is when we started. So, and then we took over the baton from Jason. We both became board members. I'm the now vice president. Corianne's the secretary. And fast forward 10 years later, we have roughly about 14 miles of hiking and biking trails at Camp Tuscazoar.
Since you two joined on.
Yeah. We started, there was like 3 miles, and they were just hiking trails, and they were the original scout trails. It just goes up and over the hills and gets to the, Buzzard's Roost and the scenic points.
Right, because as we were talking beforehand, I think a lot of people within the county, when they hear Camp Tuscazoar, immediately you go, oh, you have the Boy Scout camp. And you two have said that your goal is to let people know that there's more to it than this. And clearly, I mean, 14 additional miles is what has gone in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I remember Tuscazoar when I was a kid. I think it was 8.
Yeah.
And it took me 7 years probably to climb to Buzzard's Roost because, it was difficult.
Sure.
Like we started with our whole troop. My mom was just reminding me of this. We started with probably 10 girls, and there were only 2 of us that made it because it was such a difficult hike for a little kid.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we started with, and to ride those trails is very difficult. So, Kenny kind of used some of his expertise in laying out trails using topo maps, things like that, to make it a little easier for everyone so that we can get more people out and enjoying the trails.
Sure.
So now there's, running races there. People come from all over, and I kind of take over, we do like sign-in sheets and things like that for visitors. So it's cool to see people coming from all over the place. to come and explore the trails. So hiking, biking, reminiscing if they're a former scout, all of that, to come and just, kind of see what's out there.
Do you have any record of like who has come from the furthest away? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head.
Do you have any impressive ones that you can share?
Well, this last month, we've had Colorado, Michigan. I was just doing it this morning, and there was another one. I want to say Florida.
Oh my!
We get a lot of people that come up, and people maybe they're passing through, especially on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
They're visiting with family and maybe want to come and hey, I've heard of this. What is this? Bring their bikes. They can come camp.
So that brings up my next question is, and again, this is one of these things that, in my opinion, I should know this because I live here, but I clearly don't because I'm asking you to. Is Tuscazoar a year-round accessible thing, or is it only in the through certain months of the year? Are you closed in the winter?
Nope, we're open 365 days a year.
No joke.
Yep, open to the public, dusk to dawn typically, right? And then all you gotta do is at most of our trailheads, there's a sign-in sheet. You just sign in and have at it and enjoy it. Open to the public for free of use. We're a nonprofit foundation, so we take members. For like $25, you can become a member, and that just helps us support the mission and keep the camp actually running. But yeah, no, anyone can come use it anytime.
And people can come camp. So we have an RV park. So that is open seasonally, so just the camping season. But people can come and rent that, and it's very affordable.
Okay.
You can stay right in the woods.
Sure.
And then, of course, we have lodges and, large buildings that people can come and rent. And then, of course, primitive camping. You bring your own tent.
Now, is that something, you're talking about the cabins, lodges, and that kind of thing, is that something that you have seen grow within your time, your tenure there?
I mean, I think we're getting there. We just, Kenny just kind of enacted a new reservation system that's a little more user-friendly.
Okay.
So we're hoping to get more people there because I think one of the things that we kind of saw is people were coming for the trails and didn't even know, it's called Camp Tuscazoar, but they didn't realize what the name was. Hey, maybe it was a former Boy Scout camp. Okay, well, that's not something I can enjoy, but it is open to the public. We want people to come and enjoy it for the weekend. Come in, to camp.
Do you have designated areas that are specifically for, like you said, primitive camping? Okay.
There's campsites.
Wow. Okay. I had no clue, but that's why we do this show, so that people can become aware of what is available. Clearly with the summer months coming up, well, I mean, they're here. I mean, as far as I know, it's not officially summer, but once you hit that Memorial Day weekend, I mean, things are really going to start to escalate. Do you see, here's one. Have you seen an uptick since COVID of people coming out? I mean, that's one of the big ones that, I know that kept everybody away, and that really put a lot of businesses and organizations like yours on a real rough spot. But here we are. It's post-COVID. Things are starting to look somewhat better. Are we seeing more and more people going out?
I mean, in 2020, we had record number of people come and enjoy camp. So I think we probably had close to 10,000 visitors, which is fantastic. And we haven't come close to that yet.
10,000 over the course of one summer?
1 year.
Oh, 1 year.
One full year.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like what a lot would happen, like Cuyahoga Valley National Park, right? It was so packed because everyone was getting outdoors. They were restricting parking, and you couldn't even access the areas short of parking 6 miles down the road and walking. And we actually got a lot of people where they would come to Tuscazoar and, wow, I can hike sort of by myself and I can enjoy nature and get away from the crowds. And there's still the same beauty that, and even more so, right, than some of it up there. And,
absolutely.
And so we still, from COVID, we get that where we do get people from Cleveland coming down quite often to enjoy it, just to sort of, same thing, get away from the crowds, get a little spread out a little bit more. But yeah, for us, like, it was a massive exposure for camp and our trails and everything else that we have going on there for sure.
Well, that's incredible because, I mean, I've been to the Cuyahoga Falls. I've lived in Cuyahoga Falls for a while, and I went on some of those trails. And you're right, even though it's still, pretty Ohio scenery, it's not the same as really coming down a little bit south and coming into our neck of the woods. I mean, it's really, it's very beautiful land here, and the area there is just fantastic. Now, how many, you said 14 miles of trail. So how many individual trails are there?
Oh man. So we
lot.
we to put in perspective for if we're hand building, which we were doing a lot up until we've started to be able to get grants to get machinery to come in and build things. We average like a mile a year, and then we would sort of name the trails as we build them. So there's a lot of different names, and I know someone will probably be commenting like, "Yeah, I went to Tuscazoar and I got completely lost." Definitely in 2020, that was one thing that we learned was we weren't even ready for all the people. Like 2019, it was like basically everyone, all the locals, right?
Right.
And then 2020, all these new people came, and ever since then, I think I did the math. We average like $1,500 to $2,000 a year just on signage since 2020. Like, okay, like if we get that, hey, I got lost here. All right, well, yeah, because we know it so well, right?
Right.
And then
you take that for granted.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I'll see someone, I got lost. I'm like, and then I'm the creep. I'm like, where'd you get lost at? Where's this at? I'm the trail steward. I'll fix it. Just I gotta know so other people don't get lost.
Right.
You know? And
We take it really personally.
yeah, but sometimes with a lot of the trail names, it does help if people can figure out like, hey, well, what was the last trail that you remembered, and it helps really narrow that specific area down.
Right.
We do another thing we didn't mention, which is really cool, is we probably have, I think, roughly about 20 miles of equestrian trails as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's all user based there. And then you just mentioned the names. I just know that their trails are a lot longer, and then so they have fewer names. That's just what made me think about it.
So you talked about building a trail. How does one even go about that? I mean, clearly you've got to have record of what's already there. And how do you go about saying, you know what, let's go that way? I mean, it's almost like, pioneer. It's like Oregon Trail for crying out. Let's go. Let's
It's
just
a
go this way.
science, that's for sure.
Okay.
Well, we can take another 30 minutes and just talk about that. I'll try to sum it up in a minute.
Okay.
But realistically, like you have your scenic or places that are interesting, right? That's
Sure.
where everyone wants to go. So now I'm at a parking lot. I need to get to this interesting point, and that's where you find the old trails, right? Well, I can just go in a straight line and get there. Well, I'm going straight up a hill. I'm going straight down a hill 5 times, and it's horrible.
Right.
Also, what happens is that's not sustainable because once you get to a certain steep grade, it's going to wear, and then the water runs down it, and then it destroys itself. Mother Nature does not really like trails, and she'll find a way to bring Earth back the way it was. So what we do is basically, like Corianne mentioned, using topo maps and contour lines. We'll go up depending on the grade of the land. That's how we lay out the trail. Hey, this angle of slope. We go out, we measure it from here to here. Sometimes, we've spent up to 4 or 5 months just hiking and scouting and flagging before we even start putting a tool in the ground to build a trail.
Right.
And I think that's some of what's made Tuscazoar successful. It's still not an easy hike by any means, but we've really made it a lot better than what it was, to where you're still gonna have to go up and down hills.
Yeah.
But it's not. I don't need a pickaxe and walking sticks
Yes.
to climb the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Get a pack mule and take
Exactly.
Yeah. So now it's a more of an easier
gradual.
meander walk to get to where you need to go.
Well, I mean, and part of the point is you want to have the time to enjoy. And I mean, if it's just straight line, you'd think it's like, okay, achieve a goal, make a goal, achieve it, I'm done. And you're missing kind of the point of, I'm going to go relax and walk through and listen and see and smell the woods and, kind of and enjoy myself doing it. Now, do your trails cross up? Can 2 trails cross each other? Do you see that? Or are they spread out enough that...
There's a few. We try to avoid it if we can. Definitely.
But a lot of it, when you, like I said, you enter a trail, it's sort of leading to a destination.
Yeah.
Typically for us, there might be an A or a B option. Hey, if you take A, it's going to be maybe an extra mile hike, but you're going to see this really cool thing. If you take B, it's going to be a little bit shorter, and maybe you'll get back to your parking lot a little bit faster.
Are the trails rated or graded as in if you're a first timer, you don't want to take this one. Do you have, you know, things like, okay,
Yep, just basically like a ski slope. You got green, blue, black diamond,
gotcha.
and then you sort of know what you're about to get into. And if it's same thing, right? If it's a little bit steeper, a little bit longer, it's a higher rating.
And that's been one of our things is reading it more of like, hey, this is an hour hike, you know, just to prepare people, just because, you know, you might see 3 miles and think maybe hiking on the towpath. Well, taking, you know, 3 miles hiking on the towpath might take me an hour. Well, 3 miles hiking at Tuscazoar might take you an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on your speed. So making sure people are prepared. And, you know, we have the kiosks and things like that that kind of tell you a little bit more information. Make sure you have your phone on you for emergencies. Make sure you're taking water, you know, things like that. That, like Kenny said, when we had the influx of people, we were getting people that really had never experienced the outdoors. So, you know, and that's fantastic. We want them to have a great experience and come back to us.
Yeah.
You know? So if we can give them some tips and tricks on what it's like to be out there, bug spray right now is a good thing.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So if with the, I guess what you might consider peak season or, you know, heavy tourism season coming up, if somebody's going to come to Camp Tuscazoar and they're going to hike, what do they need to bring? Especially if they're first timers. What do we got? What do we need?
Definitely your phone.
Phone.
Water.
Sign in first,
Sign in.
so we know you're there. Take a picture of the map at the kiosk, so when you get lost, you can.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
Or have a plan.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know I want to hit this trail. I want to go to Buzzard's Roost, and then I want to come back. Hey, that's about, you know, this many miles. So,
Those would be the best things.
yeah, absolutely.
Usually, when we get people lost, they sort of get on. They're like, oh,
A
this
trail
is-
that they didn't want to
Yeah,
be
you
on.
don't, where you don't want to go and keep going. If you don't know where you're at, worst case, just backtrack the way you came, right?
Right.
The good thing is if you go to one direction, you hit the Tuscaroras River. If you hit one direction, you hit Boy Scout Road, and it's sort of paralleled. So you never can be really too lost there.
Yeah.
But we've learned navigation and stuff in the woods is us who's been there for 10 plus years is a lot easier than someone who's in the woods for the first time.
Well, I mean, absolutely. Now, I've always enjoyed, you know, primitive style camping and things like that. I haven't gone in years and years and years. So I think it would be, I mean, I definitely think I would enjoy hiking, but I'd have to take one of the easier trails. I know right out of the gate. So I also just hit 50 this past year. So it's like, I know some things aren't always as easy as, you know, they used to be. I can sit there and think about, you know what, when I was in my 20s, I used to go camping all the time. It's great. We go out, we get lost, and we make our way back and whatever. I don't think I could do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I think people don't realize too, you know, we're not talking about 100 acres. We're talking about 900 acres.
Okay, and that
So-
was one of my questions is what is
This
the
is a
acreage?
lot.
900?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's grown.
Is it all contained within Tuscarawas County or just is there some spillover?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we're between what, 212 and I guess I don't know what the next road is.
7 Mile Drive,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Route 800, right around there in that little,
Oh my
little
gosh.
bucket.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and that's a lot to manage, right? So I mean, our trail crew has about 6 to 7 people who manage all the trails,
Yeah.
and that's constant tree drops, getting it cut out.
Okay, so that was another question is when you're talking about management of a place like this, how do you even go about that? I mean, I'm sure there are areas that would need to be mowed or use a weed eater on and things like that. And then, like you said, tree clear. I mean, is that relatively common to have trees fall on the trails? And,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. It's definitely a continual battle. So we're lucky. We're all volunteers, right?
Right.
And then we've picked up just talking to people in the parking lot. Hey, how can I help? We've probably picked up a good 6 solid people. And then if we have a trail day, it's cool. There's a high school mountain bike team, and now they'll come out and help us with certain projects. And that's really cool because then we're getting high schoolers out there. And not only are they riding, being healthy, racing on our trails, getting all of that, then they actually come out and understand, well, these don't magically happen, and there's maintenance and there's work and there's a lot of sweat equity. And we had 7 of them out this weekend helping us with a big project.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool that they get to grow up understanding that this is you got to earn it, right? And you got to take care of it.
And you've got to instill that stuff when kids are young. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. I know that, and getting the younger generation to not only appreciate but want to continue with something that can be challenging. So that's great. That's great that people the kids are willing to do that. Now, if I would want to volunteer, what's the best way to go about that? What can be done?
Sure. We probably encourage people to go to our website and just probably email info@tuscazoar.org. And then we can, that's just disseminated to whatever type of trail you want to work on.
Okay.
So if it's equestrian, we can get that to the person who does that. If it's mountain bike and hiking trails, that's probably more of us. And then, we all have work days throughout the season. And a lot of times we're building trail usually in the wintertime, just because that's easier to kind of see everything and see what we're working with. But there's always maintenance.
Sure.
And not only that, like we mentioned, it is a camp, right? So we have other buildings, infrastructure, things like that needs to be maintained. So handyman type stuff. Hey, our shower house, the water line broke over last weekend, right? Someone's got to go fix that. Hey, this branch fell in the roof, got to fix that. Hey, this window got busted out, right? So there's a lot of other things that, other skills, like it's not necessarily just trails there, it's with camping too, or just running the whole camp, all volunteer, right? And we're a 16-person board. Then once again, right? So at best, 20, maybe 30 people at any given time are managing that 900 acres of not only trails but infrastructure of buildings and all that.
Now, we know that it was formerly a Boy Scout camp. Do you still have organizations that will come through and use the facility? Give me some examples of things like that. What type of groups have you seen come through?
Yeah, we have youth groups, like church
Okay.
youth groups come through. We still have a lot of scouts that come through. They might do like day camps, stay a week, that kind of thing. People come and do service projects with us. So some of the area high schools have come and cleaned up leaves or, helping us trim things.
This summer we have some of the local cross-country teams are hosting their own summer
Yes.
camp.
Okay.
So they're going to, all the high school teams are going to come. They're going to get in a cabin for a few days and they're going to go out and train and run together.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so
Have you ever had any science clubs or anything like that come through?
We do,
Okay.
yeah. We work with Kent State. I know they come out.
Awesome.
New Philly High
And New
School.
Philly High School, I think their science club comes out.
Okay.
So, and there's probably more that we don't know about that
Yeah,
come out.
right,
And we
right.
do a lot of restoration work, that kind of thing. We're always looking to plant native habitats and that kind of thing too. So anyone that has that kind of expertise or has access to good plants for us, I know we always do. We're always removing invasives and that kind of thing too. So
What kind of wildlife do you folks see out there? Is there a
little
pretty
bit
good
of
variety?
everything. We saw
Really?
some salamanders this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lots of deer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We've seen some possums and yeah, pretty much anything you can think of. We've got.
Any dangerous snakes or reptiles on the trail there?
massive black snakes.
my
Python, anaconda size black
Is that
snakes.
right?
Yeah, massive.
Ones that look like sticks, but they're not. They move.
That's got to be. See, because I think my wife is not an outdoorsy type person. So I know one time we were watching television or something like that. There was a commercial on or some people were camping. And I said, would you ever consider doing that? Oh my gosh, no. I'm like, well, okay. And she goes, no, she said, if you would do some glamping, and she's like, oh, I'd be all in for that. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And then she explained to me the concept of glamping. And I said, that isn't even, just stop. So,
That's what the RV's for,
Right, right. So that's I never even considered. That's one of those things that I know shortly after COVID, my parents are seniors. They're seniors. I mean, they're older folks, and there was that real nervousness about going to hotels and things like that again. And I thought, wow, I should get an RV and take them someplace because I know they're tired of sitting around at home. Never even thought about local places here that you can do something like that. Now, when you're talking outdoor type stuff, I know that, there's a lot of, you can end up with a lot of licensure type things. I know fishing license you've got to have, hunting license you've got to have, any kind of licensure needed for equestrian or any of the things out there. I mean, essentially, I guess the question is are there additional fees to enjoy just going out and enjoying the trails?
Nope, not at all.
And there we go.
Yeah.
So free activity, family friendly.
Yep.
You've got some big events coming up this summer. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
Yeah, so we have a Trails Festival coming up July 20th. I think it's from 10 to 4, where we're inviting people from all over to learn more about the equestrian trails. The Buckeye Trail runs right through our property, so we'll have some people there. The mountain bike trails, we'll have some people that are representative of the Cleveland Area Mountain Bike Association, which they do a lot of our grant funding, so that's where we've gotten a lot of our trails built through them.
Okay.
And trying to think of what else.
Veterans event?
Yeah, and then we also have another event in August.
Right.
It's like August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I believe, where we're having a free event for area veterans, where we want you to come out, and if you want to camp with us, that is free. And then we're going to have some meals, some fellowshipping, networking, some veteran resources. So we're really excited. That's kind of our first year to do this event, so we're excited about that.
That's very exciting. We'll make sure to put those dates up, so we get those on screen for you so people know that they're coming. Last question that we usually end with. How do each of you, and Kenny, I'll let you start on this one. How do each of you live Tusk? How do you live Tuscarawas County?
That's a tough one. I just enjoy. So it's funny. Like I said, we used to mountain bike race a lot, and we used to travel. And one place we'd go would be Brevard, North Carolina.
Okay.
And when I'm here and I'm riding around on the roads or in the woods, like this is to me like a really small Brevard. Like you get up on a ridge on a road, and you look over, and you can just see the Tusk Valley, right? And that's why I call it. It's like the T County Blue Ridge.
Okay.
It is. It's beautiful, and it's not busy, and there's not a lot of people around, right? Like when we lived in Canton, like the traffic was horrible, and I like that I can just leave my house, I can go out and just enjoy what we have in this county, right? That's my probably best way that I live Tusk.
Yeah, kind of adding on to that. I mean, we moved to Bolivar about 2.5 years ago, and it was because of the trails and the access to the trails. We can leave our house and get on a bike path and not touch a road until we get to 800, and we can ride clear to Tuscazoar. Yeah. So I can be at Buzzard's Roost by my bike in 10 miles. So I love that. And I love the community. It's so kind of tight knit, and it's kind of like that 6 degrees of separation. Like you're always going to find someone that someone else knows, and then it's easy to build those relationships.
Right.
And that was, I think, something that when we lived in Canton for that short time, we never felt like that. We never felt like we had that sense of community. And now it's home, and we enjoy it. We have lots of friends here and love making more connections, and we were excited to, be on this and kind of share our passion for Tuscazoar and love sharing it with others.
That's perfect. That's what we like to hear. And I tell you, it never ceases to amaze me every time we do one of these podcasts, the stuff that I had either known about this much about or nothing at all. And then, you get this whole enlightened thing about some of the great things that people are doing here. So it's really great. So I thank you both for coming out tonight and sitting down talking with us. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for another episode. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time. This episode of About 30 Minutes was brought to you by Lockport Brewery, Bolivar's community brewery since 2016. Lockport specializes in creating happiness by bringing people together with quality libations and food in a welcoming atmosphere with good vibes. Their dedication to Tuscarawas County and the Bolivar community is a huge piece of what makes them who they are. For Lockport Brewery, giving back is a privilege that means a lot. Live Tusk strives to create a community of young adults living and or working in Tuscarawas County, Ohio, by assisting opportunities for social interaction and networking. We provide an awareness about the resources, activities, events, art, outdoor rec, education, and career opportunities in Tuscarawas County to encourage positive engagement about the quality of life in this area. We believe in a future where our community is a beacon of opportunity, known for its strong sense of belonging and exceptional quality of life. Our City Productions is a one-stop shop for professional quality and affordable video production, photography, social media management, and video conversion and archiving. Be sure to visit us at ourcityproductions.com and follow us on Facebook.